do's and don'ts for personal statement, things that you see that were good and things that you see like, hey, this is just, don't do this.
Yeah, I think the biggest do for your personal statement is do make sure that by the time an admissions officer is done reading your personal statement, that they have a sense of why you want to go to law school. And so you do not need to start your personal statement off by saying, I want to go to law school because, but just by virtue of writing about whatever it is that you write about, let's say that you are somebody who is moved by environmental injustice and you want to do something about that someday, or say that you are someone who doesn't necessarily know what type of law you want to practice, but you realize you want to be a lawyer after witnessing this travesty that happened, in the news a couple of months ago or a year or two ago. Whatever it is that is motivating and propelling you to want to go to law school, that is probably what your personal statement needs to be about. But by the time an admissions officer is done reading your personal statement, that is what they need to know, like why it is that you want to go to law school. Some don'ts, I recommend that this is a do, but also a don't. So do honor page limit. So don't, disregard any rules that a school has with regard to personal statements. If they say that, it needs to be 2 pages, do not try to play around and finagle with the margins. Do like regular margins, 12-point font, like standard, just standard everything. Also, I like to recommend to my clients, even if a school allows you to write a 3-page essay, I like to condense essays down to 2 pages. I think that for the most part, students should be able to get their essay down into 2 pages. It needs to be concise as possible. But also the reason I like 2-page essays is because not every school accepts a 3-page essay, and I think that you should be able to, give the same essay to every single school. I personally don't like students to include a school's name in a personal statement, and so I don't like for students to say, I really want to go to ABCD Law School for this reason. There have been a few times when I've seen a student do it well, but more often than not, it really doesn't add significant value to an essay, if any value to an essay, and so I recommend just not doing it at all. Most students that get into law school did not write anything specific about the school in their personal statement, and that's okay. If you are someone who really wants to include specific information about a school, something that's motivating you to go to the school, check with the school to see if they allow you to submit optional essays. So a YXYZ school essay tends to be, in my point of view, a bit better to do instead of, trying to include something school specific in your personal statement. Make sure your personal statement is personal. And so I know that sometimes family members or friends can motivate us to want to become lawyers, which is perfectly fine, but your personal statement should not be all about, your mom and her upbringing. Like, it needs to be personal. It needs to be about you. And so really be careful about that. If your motivation for going to law school is somebody else's story, you need to make that as personal as possible. Let me see what else. I think those are probably the biggest ones. Make sure that someone else reviews your personal statement for you. Oftentimes when we're writing, we know what we want to say and we know what we think we're saying, but our brain tricks us to where there are errors or we don't see what's on paper in the same way that we would if it was a fresh set of eyes. And so make sure that someone else reads your personal statement for you and gives you feedback. Expect to do multiple drafts of your personal statement. You probably won't get it right the first time. Be okay with people kind of ripping it apart and restructuring it and telling you, this isn't actually a story you need to tell, etc. So be open to that and do give yourself enough time. I would say a couple of weeks, maybe a month at minimum, to really revamp and put together a really great personal statement.
Nice.